Welcome to Popcasts on the Rocks, episode 3. Today, oh my God, it's the first of a new month. How's it going, Andrea?
Pretty good. I will not lie. I'm glad it's a new month. January has felt 5 months long already. Not sure how that's possible, but
Why
I
is
think
that?
probably because it's been so gray. Apparently it's like the cloudiest January on record ever.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, yeah. Coworker and I were wondering the other day why we kind of felt a little, blah during the
hmm
whole month, and apparently there's a weather reason. So
It's
yeah,
strange how
glad.
that messes with you, huh?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it
the
kind of
mood.
messes with your whole mood and you don't really understand why you're kind of cranky all the time, but
hmm
yeah, need that need
I'm
that
never
sunshine.
cranky. I'm never cranky.
I think you're one of few people. So
Okay,
that's
yeah.
good for you.
Yeah.
So how was your January, John?
January was good. Busy, I guess. At least it's weather's been mild now, and
Hmm.
yeah. Been staying busier. Got a robotics class I've been helping with this winter, so
Oh,
that
nice.
preoccupies some of my time, and at least and more of my mind space.
Sure.
Is thinking about what we need to do for that. So
Are you guys building anything right now or running
yeah, we're building a
programs?
robot so it's for high school, so it's a first competition. Or they set everything up. This year is Star Wars themed, so
Oh,
they create a imaginary catastrophe that you're gonna have to solve by uh, building robots to do certain tasks. And so
okay.
um, it's yeah, for my brother-in-law's class that he does, and
Sure.
so yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad the theme is Star Wars because I think we've mentioned Star Wars in all episodes now. Even though we keep saying like,
let's keep it
"Oh, this
going.
isn't our Star this isn't our Star Wars episode," but yet we keep mentioning it. So, we'll just keep
Yeah.
mentioning it until it happens.
I don't know if there's another good time to bring it up later in the show, but I maybe this is it right now. Star Wars theme robotics competition. So
Yes. Yes, we've got our mention in at least.
yep. How's your week been? As of the
Uh,
month, how's the week?
Busy, not as tragic as my last week. Just busy with
Air quotes
with
tragic.
yes, yes. My shook week. No, it's just been busy helping my in-laws move to the cities, so that has taken up a bunch of my time. But
Yep.
yeah,
That's very
yeah,
nice of
still.
you.
Thanks, thanks. I'm excited that it is over now, and I can focus back on my entertainment um, desires for what I can watch, and to hopefully follow up on some things that we watched at HomeCon last week.
Yes. So for people that weren't here last week or didn't catch that or remember it, it's we often go to other nerd conventions, but particularly anime nerd conventions. Um, and this year we're not making to any, and so we kind of fill the spaces with home anime conventions.
Hmm.
Um, which so we just had one, and we all pick a show and go through the day and have lots of Japanese snacks, and eat way too much, and watch some shows. So
It's a good time. You put on a good con, John.
oh, good. Well, I've been to enough. I should know what's essential, what's needed in them, and basically it's lots of bad food, and
Hmm.
uh, we none of us smell though. I'm not like being mean, but it's a more mild smells at a home
Yes,
con than at a weekend long hotel
right,
convention.
right. It's not the full sensory experience, but
hmm
I think that's kind of okay. You got to
Yeah.
space those out.
So did you have some of the shows we watched? What did you pick
Yeah, so
for this
I
one?
picked I picked two wildly different shows. I think. The first one was Midnight Occult Civil Servants, and I picked it because it felt a little bit like the anime version of Supernatural. So I was like, okay, well, why not give it a go and see, what kind of this procedural show is like. Um, Not wildly fond of it based on the first couple episodes. Um, it's very slow, a little clunky. I wasn't quite convinced about the different supernatural species that they introduced.
Hmm.
So I'm not positive that I enjoyed that. Um, did you have any thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, these days, well, I shouldn't say these days. Anime has always had, I think, longer than expected. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like opening time
Mm.
where the show kind of becomes what it really
Exposition.
is. Yeah, it has its exposition. It becomes um a lot of shows aren't good until 4 episodes in, or
Yeah.
you don't get what you really, that you're gonna dig it. There's some shows that, and I think there's network television shows like this too, but you start it and it's like, well, I don't know about the acting. I don't know if I'm super excited about it. But if you stick with it a little bit, all of a sudden you kind of fall in love with the characters, and then, it becomes something. So maybe that's this, but yeah, to me it was slow, kind of obvious exposition. It didn't feel too
Right.
natural or whatever, and so yeah.
Yeah, it didn't the sort of cliffhangers at the end of each episode felt a little flat. Um,
Mm,
Not really like, oh, I really wonder about what this is or where this is heading. So, yeah, I'll give it a couple more to see if maybe, like you said, I can get past the opening setup and get into it, but we'll see.
yep.
Um, the other show that I picked, I conversely enjoyed exactly because of the cliffhangers at each episode. There were some mysteries introduced that I felt um, really gripped me, and I wanted to know more about. So the show is Vinland Saga, um, a little kind of mini Viking Quest esque
I'm glad you picked it.
show. Yeah,
I've heard such
I
good
really like
things.
it. Yeah, I like it so far. Like the cliffhangers I was talking about, like with the main character's identity, his backstory, being revealed in little bits and pieces as they go along. I really enjoyed that. And I kind of enjoyed the brief taste of the mythos that's set up behind um,
Mm,
the series and kind of why these characters are where they are, what brought them there, the land they're living in, the time frame. Everything just felt set up very nicely and smoothly, conversely to
nice.
the other show. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I dug it. I thought it was good. It I at first when I saw it, I wasn't a big fan of the art, like just seeing the previews,
Mm,
and then so I kind of passed it up until I'd heard all the positive talk.
sure.
Um, it But yeah, they instantly set up some good drama, some characters with some depth. Your main character seems, you know, heroic, but then you find out, you know, he maybe is, but he's not seen that way to maybe the world at large. So definitely there's some depth there. It's not all like thrown at you at once. It looks like it's gonna evolve slowly over time. So, you know, in the we always watch usually 2 episodes of each show just to get a feel
Mhm.
for it, so we can get in a number of them. And so, um, I would say it's definitely worth continuing to see how that evolves.
Right. Yeah, I'm much more excited to keep watching that one than I think I am the other. But again, we'll see.
Yep.
So,
Um, Other people picked. My brother-in-law picked Doctor Stone.
yeah,
What do you think of that?
I, I like that a lot. I love the premise behind it. I don't think this needs a spoiler alert, but spoiler alert anyway, just in case. Um, so that I love the premise that human beings, all living things actually, are hit with this sort of outer space ray that we're not sure where it comes from yet, and everything
Yeah.
gets turned to stone for thousands of years, and then two humans who have been friends break through their stone casing and um, have to rebuild society. And I think it's a
Hmm.
really different and neat way to do post-apocalyptic. I think that's very hot right now. Anything like
Right.
a post-apocalyptic world is very in, and it keeps getting harder and harder. I think to find a new way to do that, that
Right.
isn't like zombies or disease or some sort of outbreak. Um,
Yep.
yeah,
Because I think,
I really
like you say, post-apocalyptic is in, but I also think there is uh, a tiring of it too. If it's not,
yes,
if it is something not that's not new, and
yes,
one of my favorite games is post-apocalyptic. So is kind of
mhm,
that, and this is almost that too. Like the apocalypse happened,
yeah,
it's post
hmm,
but I mean, it's about that rebuild, and a lot of post-apocalyptic is more to me about how you have to survive and live in this terrible
right,
existence. This is like this hopeful kind of thing. We're going to rebuild the world. We're going to bring back civilization. And I think it could be a
right,
really good chance to not only in the science they explore, which is kind of cool,
yeah,
but the like character archetype or character studies that they can do with this. Right away, you see the different types of people, and I hope they get into how those kind of people will fit into society, what kind of role they can play, and the difficulties in it. I mean, in episode 2 we
yes,
saw how there was already controversy and a debate between what is civilization really,
hmm,
and
well,
so yeah.
yeah, and the decision about who to wake up. You
Yep.
know, I mean,
Hmm.
they have they have limited resources on the amount of people that they can wake up, and you hope you wake up people who are useful, in rebuilding and moving society back to where it was. Um, and what would you do if you woke up somebody who wasn't, or possibly
Yep.
was um, some sort of like murderer?
We'll get some
you
Children
know,
of the Flies kind of, or yeah, what is that? Children of the, what am I thinking of? Um,
mm, not positive.
um, I'm butchering something. I'll just move on.
Okay.
The but yeah, I think it's gonna. It seems like it's gonna blend that comedy with substance well. It seems like
Yes.
that's what it's hitting because it's definitely silly, but it's got it's gonna have heart and meaning too. So.
Right. Yeah, I really
Mm,
enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to that. More of that.
and then my wife picked Sada Zanmai.
Wildly, wildly different. Do you want to give a go at explaining that, John?
Um,
How
go
would you
into
even
s-
start?
go into Sada Zanmai very open-minded, very expecting something ridiculous.
Hmm.
Um, I'm sure it's gonna be a show with heart too, but it's just bonkers. It's really bonkers. I
Yes.
don't know how much I want to give away, I guess, but it's about these kids that get turned into kaput, or like these little frog guys, and they have to steal desires from people's butts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you got it.
It's but it's so well animated. Like the
It
sequence,
is.
they do like transformation sequences like you would in
Yes.
Sailor Moon or any sort of thing like that, and they're funny and well done, and the
Yes.
main scenes are gorgeous actually from such a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
So definitely something I'll just throw on here and there and watch another episode of, and see what happens, because it could be a thing where it wears out its welcome quickly. All of a sudden the
Yes.
shtick becomes done. But
Yeah, I think that's difficult to do with transformations, keeping it new and different. Um, you know, when they do that sort of thing, I think repeatedly in a show, they have to find a way to make it different or shorter because you just do sort of lose your patience with it, I think. So
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah.
My my
Oh, go
brother-in-law in
ahead.
the chat, it says sounds pretty top notch. I assume he's talking about SARS on my and the butt desires. Um, if so, that is correct. Top notch.
top top notch butt desires. Uh, the
Yeah.
things you say.
And then more somber note, a
Hmm.
place further than the universe for a show.
Somber sometimes. Definitely
Yeah.
also a little bit of the humor in there, but a
Hmm.
more serious topic for sure.
Yep.
I loved it. I thought it was a gorgeous, gorgeous anime.
Hmm. Yep.
And
It's
I think it's a little bit different to have a topic about um high school students wanting to go to Antarctica. You know, it's kind of
mhm.
not something you would really think of when you think anime, like why would this be a show
it,
topic? But it's actually really wonderful.
it doesn't fall into one of the tropes, one of the million
Right.
categories that's, you know, that we get these days. Oh, I'm trapped in a video game,
Hmm.
or just even high school, like, oh, the boy won't notice me or whatever,
Notice me,
Ma- m-
senpai.
yeah. But yeah, definitely a gorgeous show. And I know that one's not as new as the
Hmm.
other ones. I guess I don't know when Midnight Cult Civil Servants came out, but
This past season.
oh, that's okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's newer.
And I forgot to put it on the list, but I shouldn't have. Mysterious Girlfriend X.
Oh my gosh, the other oddball
That
bodily
was
high school
that was
comedy.
another something else. I mean, for
Yes.
different things and different reasons, but you know, I won't spoil anything there because went in knowing nothing other than, oh, who's this kind of emo looking girl here, and I was surprised.
Yes.
But what would you recommend of these? You recommend everybody give these a shot, or would you you know
If I had to, oh boy, if I had to maybe go with my um sort of formula in picking something dark and light, so I'm all about that balance. I would say I would probably pick Dr. Stone, um, actually, as my lighter,
okay.
um, more comedic one. I mean, I know that it's hard. Sun is on my and Mysterious Girlfriend X. I mean, they're just so out there. They just feel like their own sort of
Yep.
categories that you have to just be open minded to enjoy. So I would recommend Dr. Stone and probably Vinland Saga for like a
Okay.
darker, more serious element.
Yeah. Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
Um.
What would you
So
pick out of those?
yeah, I think Dr. Stone seems like it could be the most balanced show.
Yeah.
Just the
Hmm.
best sort of overall kind of a little bit of something for everyone show.
Hmm.
To me, it seemed like it was going in a good path and has a lot to offer. Um,
Yeah.
but they all have something, like you say, for that to fill that different anime void that you have, different
Hmm.
categories. So,
For sure.
but I was going to talk a little bit about any news. Normally bring up a couple news stories or something like that. And I didn't think much happened this week in pop culture news that
No.
I was interested in. But I thought it'd be a good time to bring up just a video game thing and see if anyone that watches wants to hear more about video games. I know you're Resident Evil
That's
4
right.
and 5 player. That's your thing.
Yes, although I'm trying to expand my horizons.
Okay.
I've started playing Assassin's Creed. I know it's older, but you know they're still running and they're excellent games. And then I'm also playing Borderlands as well.
Oh, the first
Since
one or
Borderlands, yes, yes, I'm playing the
okay.
first one right now. Borderlands 3 obviously just came out, so I'm trying to get all the way up to 3, obviously. So,
Okay.
but
Cool. So
just felt I
you
needed
feel
a little
compelled?
background.
You feel compelled with anything? I mean, movies obviously, but then games too, to like be do the first one and do them in order. Are you that?
Yeah, I need it.
Okay.
I need the
Okay.
backstory. Otherwise,
'Cause
I just jump in and I'm just like, what is happening? Who are these people? Yeah, I can't
see,
ever jump
but
into
you could
anything.
never play Witcher then because no one wants to play Witcher 1, I don't think, but Witcher 2 and
Okay.
3. So you're stuck.
Well, maybe can I watch Witcher and then play 2 and 3? Can I
That's
watch a
a
TV
that's
series and
true.
jump in?
Oh, no. Well, no,
Oh,
that's
dang
never
it.
way. You could watch a streamer play Witcher
Okay.
1. That would be a
Okay.
thing, I suppose.
I'd
But
be willing to do that to save
okay,
myself if Witcher 1 is really that terrible.
okay. I don't know. It's just it's old. It's dated. So,
Sure. Well, I
um,
mean, Assassin's Creed 2, which is the one I'm currently in, is pretty dated as well. So
yeah, yeah.
it's kind of in between that throwback dated and just like, oh God, this is dated, dated.
hmm Well, for me, there's some games that definitely feel like they are each game is a leap, each game is a jump.
Hmm.
And Witcher, CD Project Red, that makes them has always been kind of the way I think. Each one is a substantial change. Um, Whereas Assassin's Creed has been able to grow over time because it's been
Right.
like a machine.
Mm.
Most it's like here's one, just you know, out each year or whatever, every other year, and sometimes they skip. So um, our producer has some Assassin's Creed thing he's holding up.
Love it.
Um, but yeah, Witcher, and then I respected Half Life for that, and then they never made Half
Oh,
Life 3. But
mhm.
otherwise, it's like 1 to 2 was a giant leap. So you know, but the one new thing of gaming news this week I had
All
was
right.
the new Nintendo Switch that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo revealed the Animal Crossing edition of the Nintendo Switch. It comes out the week before the new Animal Crossing game, and
And which
it
week
looks
is
really
that?
cool. So March 13th is the release of this console.
Okay.
So yeah, um, everybody that has there's a you remember the meme. My wife has showed it to me. The meme where it's the uh, guy with his girlfriend presumably, and he's looking back at
Yes.
whatever, and
Love
they
that
meme
one.
it for everything. Well, that's what they did.
Yes.
Is the switch, a regular switch on the guy's face, and he's looking at the new one or whatever, But on the yeah.
Well, hopefully that's
So
indicative of good things to come from the new Switch.
yeah, yeah. I hope it looks really cool. Nothing else new about it, and but I guess it sounds like it means they're not going to release a new Switch this year, like an upgraded Switch
Oh,
2 or
okay.
whatever. So
Sure.
I'm happy to know that because there's always this struggle, and if you're, I mean, with anything tech, it's you're in this debate of like, well, when's the new thing going to come out? Should I be waiting or not? So
Right.
I think it's good to know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's kind of the same thing for, people who want a new phone. You never want to like get a new phone and then find out a new phone is coming out like the month after. So,
Yep. Yep. So that's about it. You have your normal like show update release schedule.
yeah, for those of you with streaming services, nothing really coming out. I found on either Disney Plus or Hulu. They're just doing their old movies or old TV shows, kind of thing. So nothing exciting that I found there. For HBO Go, I'm intrigued. They have a new TV series called The Outsider, based on a book by Stephen King. I'm intrigued with the premise of the story, but I'm less intrigued, I guess, because it's another detective kind of noir.
Mm,
Um, and I think that they're trying a little bit too hard to capitalize off of True Detective.
mm.
So I'm a little tired of that sort of like same premise being HBO goes like go to as far as new shows coming out. So I'm a little tired of that, but I'll still give it a go because I love Stephen King and I actually do love that book. So I will I'll stick it out and see what I think about a couple episodes.
Sure.
I mean, luckily it's only about 6 episodes long, so it's not
Yeah.
terribly long to get through. Um, and then I think the biggest thing really coming out, and it's on two platforms, Netflix and Amazon Prime, um, are both releasing Oscar contender kind of movies. So Netflix has Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. Um, and a lot of people are saying that it's a bit of a snub that he didn't get a nomination for Best Actor for this film because it's apparently absolutely his performance is amazing. So we can talk a little bit about that in just a minute. But then also Amazon Prime Video, they're not releasing anything for free, unfortunately, but they've released a bunch of Oscar movies that you can rent and buy, including Joker, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Ford versus Ferrari, and Parasite.
Yep.
So they're I mean splashed all over the content. So clearly they know what's coming up next weekend and they want to get everybody to see as much of the films as they can. So
Yep. I think most of the stores are getting on that. I looked on, pull up the
mhm.
iTunes store, and they've got a lot of Oscar contenders. I keep checking in on some of them on dates that they're available or whatever, But
Right.
yeah, um,
Yeah, I know I think Alamo Drafthouse by Us is re-releasing a bunch of Oscar contenders this week so that if people want to
oh
load up at the movies, it's actually a smart way to do it, I think.
yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, Oscars next week.
yes.
Do you normally watch the Oscars?
Absolutely. Actually, funny story about the Oscars. My the first year I'd taken in college a bit of a break from Oscar watching because I was usually in theater shows that night.
Mm.
I was missing it. But then my third year in, um, I was not in a show and was finally able to go to our dorm rooms or our dorm housings Oscars party. And that was actually
Oh,
hosted by my husband, Chris. Um, and we watched the Oscars and Slumdog Millionaire won that year for Best Picture, and we both hadn't seen it, so we were like, oh well, we should go see it, and then that actually turned into our first date.
oh,
So
so sweet. Oh, okay, so you have a history.
yes, yes. So the
Okay,
Oscars are very special. So now we never miss the Oscars
okay,
together since it spawned our first
okay,
date. So
nice. I
yeah,
usually don't make it through the Oscars. I used
it's a
to
long show.
when Joan Rivers was around. I would always watch
Yes.
my wife and I would break down, and we did in the past too, the fashion stuff. So that was
Yes, I
interesting.
miss Fashion Police,
Hmm.
breaking down like the award season fashions. That was one of my favorite shows.
But when it gets to everything, all the awards, it's a lot of awards. I don't want to hear everybody's
Mhm.
speeches, but it's and like I feel like the past we've gotten um, a lot of really solid, amazing films that are nominated. And I feel like now, I don't know, it just it's less. Um, I'm less enthralled by the picks we get a lot.
Yes. Yeah, they don't seem to be quite as innovative. Um, Sometimes they're very, I don't know, everything seems very predictable. Everybody sort of predicts, films that they feel are going to be selected by the Academy, and then
Yep.
the Academy goes ahead and selects them, and there's no real surprises. So it's hard, I think, when there isn't that surprise. There's not that like drive to see it all the time because you just
I don't.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
heard about it, they picked it, boring.
I don't like the play to make an Oscar film.
Yes.
There's so many the people that are trying to write and direct, and I'm shooting for best picture. And they try to make that. as opposed to just making something that they're passionate about or whatever, and
Yeah.
it be what it is. So that's frustrating to me. I mean, it's fine because I'm sure there's people that want to they're hoping that's their big moment. If they can make the
Mhm.
movie that's nominated or wins, that's how they can get more jobs and all that stuff. But the people that um already have this big success, they're just shooting for, um I don't know. I think there's too much weight and importance put on the Oscars, but nonetheless, it's still fun to see. you know it's just a American tradition. I don't
It
know.
is. It is. Yes.
So you're
Yes.
gonna try to
So
get some shows under your belt this next week? Some new shows?
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm currently watching Marriage Story and The Irishman,
Okay.
both available on Netflix. I want to watch Uncut Gems as well, especially from what I've been hearing about Adam Sandler's performance. And since that's available now on Netflix as well, I'll be getting into that. I have plans this week to go to the theater to see both Little Women uh, and Knives Out. So
Nice.
I'm
Okay.
trying to get to those, and then I'll probably try to rent Parasite and maybe
Okay.
Ford versus Ferrari.
Okay.
Those are
It's a
kind of like
lot.
the. It is. It's a lot to see.
I
Um,
put a lot on my list too, and it's like I don't watch that many movies these days. Like I'm hoping,
I
honestly,
know.
I'm hoping one of the side effects of this podcast is I commit myself to a little more cinema,
Yeah.
because it is a thing that I've fallen out of some. So I have a big list too that includes a lot of that. I want to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and
Yes.
I really haven't watched a Tarantino film in a while, but I used to be a big
I
fan
know.
of his.
I
So,
know. I haven't
and
watched one since Django.
okay, yep. I don't know I think the last one I watched was what was the one with Kurt Russell? It was the double Grindhouse feature.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It has been a while,
Yes.
um,
Well,
for me.
I mean, I would if you don't get to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood before the Oscars or just don't quite get to it, I would recommend Django.
Okay,
Um, especially if we're talking about snubs and people being left out. I do actually think Leonardo DiCaprio um,
okay,
for that movie was left out by the Academy
sure.
because it was an amazing performance.
Well, we're running low on time, or out of time.
Yes.
Um, but just giving people a heads up. So we start talking a little bit about Oscars this week. We don't want to
Hmm.
over inundate you with that, but Oscars is next week. So we're going to get in that a little better. Hopefully, we'll have seen a bunch of the shows we're talking about,
Hmm.
and we can make some predictions maybe.
Yes.
Really decide if we really think Uncut Gems is a snub, that sort of
Hmm.
thing. Today I'm just drinking coffee on the rocks, so I know that's not as cool, I guess, or whatever. But we'll get some Oscar style. I'll have to put on a suit or something. And
Right. Yeah, we'll
fancy.
dress up and maybe let's make our own Oscars cocktails.
Yeah. So the idea, and if possible, we'll stick by. We'll let you know next week, but we're gonna try to maybe do some live event on the night of the Oscars as well.
Hmm.
So we should be expect our regular podcast next week, and maybe a
And
live
a
show for
bonus.
Oscars. Yep, hopefully a bonus. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.